dutifully framed documents, letters from important persons, newspaper clippings, and invitations to banquets in the poet's honor, complete with menus. Across the river that long-ago morning, in the American Literature Collection at the Rosenbach Museum and Library in Philadelphia, a helpful librarian cheered me on, pressing into my hands Isadora Duncan's copy of Leaves of Grass. The famous Bohemian had danced these poems, as it were, found them in the pulse of her own freedom and nerve. She styled herself as a barefoot classical dancer, emulating poses on Grecian urns and the Parthenon friezes with an unrestrained physicality, an exuberant, natural sort of movement. Though she was detained on Ellis Island with her new husband, the Russian poet Sergei Yesenin, and denounced in Washington as a Bolshevik hussy, she launched an American tour, and in 1922 danced barefoot in Cleveland in attic costume, one breast bared. The young Hart Crane was in the audience that evening. The poet wrote to a friend that among all who attended, he was the sole spectator who had applauded. Walt Whitman, Isadora Duncan, Hart Crane. Could a list of artists be more American? Visionaries, outsiders and exiles, sexual pioneers, half-cracked, devoted wholeheartedly to unconventional notions of beauty. Each longed for community and kindred spirits, and each stood mostly alone. They created the template of the American artist, who stands, as E.M. Forster wrote of the great Greek poet C.P. Cavafy, at a slight angle to the universe. Ignored, often reviled in their own times, they've come now to embody them. Their singular lights turn out to have been illuminating the way ahead all along. Add to their number Joseph Cornell, Marsden Hartley, Georgia O'Keeffe, Gertrude Stein, Langston Hughes, Marianne Moore, Gwendolyn Brooks, a far more experimental poet than she's generally thought to be, Jack Spicer, Eileen Miles, and trace the sturdy vine of an American tradition. What can be seen from the margin, from Brooklyn Ferry or its inheritor, the bridge, from the unexpected vistas available from the Acropolis or Ghost Ranch, the florid modernism of a Paris salon or cheap East Village rooms in the 1970s, makes its way toward the center, opening pathways for a larger culture. But it was hard, that afternoon in the cluttered house on Mickle Boulevard, to feel any sort of vitality transmitted forward. Whitman's family had left nearly all his possessions in the house. Too many mementos of the public life, stuff that might have gone into the scrapbook or attic of an older poet wanting to be reminded who he once was. Before you hear too much of a snarl in that comment, be aware that I have boxes of such material myself. I moved from one scrap of paper to another, feeling my interest drift. I heard the raucous banging from the street, the yawps of kids, the skittering pops of firecrackers. It was high summer, after all. Why linger in the archive, pages grown yellow in the warm amber leaking through the window shades? If you want me again, the poet had written, look for me under your boot soles. What could be the point in wandering here among these dry bits of evidence, looking for what? Then, on the topmost shelf in a glass display case, what I'd never have expected, a stuffed bird, a bit dilapidated, but poised and alert, as taxidermy could manage, a deep, pleasing green, a conure maybe, a lorikeet, some sort of small parrot. He looked cheerfully and expectantly out at the world forever.